Welcome to the Cash Flow Empire, everybody. Once again, every Tuesday night where we like to talk about real estate. We talk about the dirty, the ugly, the truth, the different strategies. Obviously, by now you must, we're John, how many episodes are we in? We're like over a year plus,
Yeah, we have over 70 episodes, something like that, right?
70
Some
episodes.
yes, some are even private, but you know how it is,
Yeah,
right?
over 70 episodes of different strategies, multifamily, single family. Tonight, we're going into the Airbnb midterm rental, short term rental industry. I bet you that this is something that's probably came across your mind. Like, oh my God, you hear Airbnb. First of all, we've all been in one, we've all rented one. So we've always thought about, how cool would it be? We all look at that check, we're like, you know what? Yeah, I paid about $500. Like, how can I make those $500, right? So that's actually something we do. Me and John are partners in the midterm and short term um rental industry. So to start off the call, I am your host and I am the one that's gonna be talking most of the night tonight. So can I get some hand claps from everybody? Yay.
No, let's
I
go.
appreciate it, guys. Appreciate you joining tonight. Tonight we will be talking, as I said before, about short-term rentals and midterm rentals, and this is something that we've been doing now for 2 years, John. Which
Mm-hmm.
we made some damn good money. I'm not gonna lie to you, and we have the proof to show you that in this industry there is you can make a lot of money. That's actually what allowed us to start dabbling into investing into the multifamily, right, John?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So you want to just keep kicking it off and kind of help me co-host here, John?
Awesome, awesome, man. So yeah, welcome everybody. So make sure that you ask questions. You guys have questions, so we'll open some time, or you can be in the middle of the call, just like, hey, I didn't understand this. Can you explain me, or how do you do that, right? So as you guys know, we are really transparent on this, right? So we like to share exactly how is that we are doing it, how is that we're acquiring properties, how is that we're doing this kind of strategy, right? But let's start a conversation like this, Sergio. The name of the episode today, it's an arbitrage, right? Midterm rentals
Mm,
arbitrage, right? So can you explain everybody what does it mean, arbitrage and this kind of strategy?
yeah. So arbitrage is another fancy word. As it means the same thing as basically subleasing. You get to arbitrage or sublease a unit, a house. And basically, guys, is literally what it sounds like. A lot of people, when they get into Airbnb or midterm rentals, they think that they got to go out there and buy the house. And yes, you do eventually start cash flowing enough money from these properties to where rack up a lot of profits and you're able to go use those profits, buy your house, convert it into a midterm rental or a short term rental, aka Airbnb. And just to educate you a little more, Airbnb, it's not called Airbnb. It's called, the industry is the short term rental industry. Airbnb is a platform. VRBO is a platform. Um, like there was an apartments.com. There's different types of platforms that I mean it's they're platforms. It's not the actual name of it, right? And depending on what type of you do have, it could be considered basically, real estate. Term rental and midterm rental is not real estate. It's basically a hospitality industry, right? You're caring about individuals. You're here to host individuals, but it starts to turn into real estate when you actually own the house, right? You're doing the short term rental industry. You're doing the midterm rental on the property that you purchase. Right there is when it starts to convert into real estate. So be careful how you use the terms. It is either the short term rental industry, midterm rentals. Airbnb is a platform, just as VRBO is a platform. Furnish Finder is a platform. You guys get it? So those are some kind of key things that you need to take away. Be careful because also, like I said before, You can call it real estate. You can consider it real estate if you actually own the house, but the majority of it is in the hospitality industry. You're here to host. So I wanted to kind of clarify, educate you a little bit on the on how is it that it's broken out. Arbitrage, once again, is also subleasing. Basically, you're renting a house to run your business, your midterm or short-term rental business, putting it on the different platforms like VRBO, Airbnb, Furnace Finder, just to keep it super, super simple.
Awesome, awesome, man. No, thank you for sharing that, Sergio. I mean, this is a really good strategy for people that they don't own properties, right? That maybe,
Correct.
I don't know, right? They don't have the credit, they don't qualify for a loan, but they're able to arbitrage property, build cash flow. And for you guys that are homeowners, right? That you're probably doing a long-term rentals, maybe you start diversifying a little bit. You can test it out, you can do it right, like start doing mid-term rentals, right? So you can start doing short-term rentals, right? So yeah, I mean that strategy that you can use in your own portfolio, right?
Very, very, very effective, and it's something that I truly do recommend. If you own your house, and I mean and we'll get into it later. I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of questions, but if you own a couple of if you own a portfolio of single family homes, you live in a very hot market. Um, because we are going to talk about strategies on short term and midterm. Consider it. Chances are, if your short term rental property, if you can consider it a short term rental, it'll do good as a midterm. If it's the other way around, where a midterm rental, and I'll tell you the key factors, what to consider of which one is. But if it's a midterm rental, it's kind of hard to convert it into short term. Once again, if you can convert a short term rental to a midterm. You can do both industries. They're a little different, and you're targeting different type of clients. So let's keep that in mind also.
Love it, love it. Hey, Sergio, so let's share with people how do you hear about this strategy, right? Because I was really familiar and personally, so I knew that you have one property just by yourself, right? And then
Right.
I just came in and say, hey, man, let's partner up because you are killing it. I see you making money, right? So then we went and we had another three more after your first one, right? So right now we have four properties in under the same strategy, right? But how do you hear
Correct.
about this, man? Because I was familiar about Airbnb, about all those things, but not about mid-term rental.
So I heard about midterm rental from basically, and midterm rental is also considered corporate housing. It's anywhere from, you lock in contracts from 3 to 6 months plus. So just so you can kind of get, where the you have long-term tenants that do yearly leases. You have the midterm rentals or tenants that do anywhere from 3 to 6 months or a little more. And then you have the short-term rentals where people come in and rent 1 day, 2 day, 3, 4 days, a week, 2 weeks max, right? Once you start getting into 3 to plus, you start kind of getting into midterm rental tenants. But um, I heard about it through a guru actually. I was at a 10x event, and everybody meets different types of entrepreneurs at the 10x events, right? So I met a guy, and he had a program, and I was like, man, I really need to look into some type of way to start making some money, right? This has been my earlier 10x days where I'm new. I'm starting to get out of the scarcity mindset. I'm trying to find ways. Remember, we don't. I think Grant said, you don't have a John, and help me out here. You don't have an income problem. You have a making money problem. Or how does he say it, John?
I mean, just that sounds about right.
Yeah, he's like, you have an income problem. You have a money. You don't make enough money. You can only cut your expenses so much. You just don't make enough money, right?
Mindset
So
problem.
yeah, it's mindset. He's just kind of just hitting me across the head with this, and I'm like, started thinking of like, damn, I need to find something, right? I need to find a way to make more money. How can I be hands off and make money, right? So I found this guru, at the 10x event. Shake his hand. I met him. He seemed legit. And I bought his mastermind, just like in everything. I bought the mastermind. At that time, I think it was $15,000. That's all I had to my name, guys. Literally, that is all I had to my name. I was scared, but I was like, you know what? Screw it. Threw all my money, bought the mastermind, invested all the money that I had um, into that course. I was so emotional. I was so like, yeah, this is gonna work. I'm ready. I just dropped this money. I just bought this course. I'm gonna learn this game. And then guess what? I look at my bank account. I ain't got no money, and I have the education, but I don't have the money to get started. So I'm like, dang. So I called my brother and I was like, hey brother, $15,000 on this mastermind. Do you wanna jump in? I need a line of credit. He's all like, well, you're my brother. I trust you. Sure. Here's a $20,000 credit card. Um, he gave it to me. He trusted me. I went to go furnish a house. I found a house, number one. I furnished it. And then 3 months later, a client that ended up staying at that property for 6 months, and they were paying $5,200 a month, and I was profiting over $2,000 a month, and I was able to pay that card back like this. So right off the bat, John, investment, my ROI was less than year one. I got back right off the bat. So that's how I got into it, John. I heard about it. I needed to make some more money. I needed to make some moves, and that's exactly what I did.
That's good, man. I mean, you became educated, right? Instead of just going and figure out yourself, right? Because again, you just went to join somebody, an expert in this field, right? So the same thing that you guys had every single Tuesday, right? Like having a mentor and then educate yourself and then take actions, right? So you have a deal, my money is coming. So same thing, right? In a different industry, right? So
Correct.
same thing. But yeah, okay, Sergio. So how long did it take you to go from educate yourself until find your first property? I wanna get to know.
I'm a huge action taker. I'm an Aries. I got ADD. I just can't wait. When I want something, I go get it like this. So I probably educated myself for about a good month or two. Probably month three is whenever I found my first property. It took me a lot of cold calling because um, there is a strategy to go find these properties online. Very easy, very simple. But at the end of the day, you do got to pick up the phone. You got to call these owners. And at the end of the day, you sell yourself. You say, hey, my name is Sergio. And I'm looking to I have a business because it is a business. I opened up an LLC. I got liability insurance and everything. So I'm portraying myself, and I am kind of approaching these owners as a business owner. I'm like, hey, I run a corporate housing business. We house professionals in your local area, and would you be interested in basically allowing us to use your space to rent it out to other professionals, to our network? A lot of them say no. A lot of them say yes. Where you kill them and where you screw up is when you tell them that you're going to put it on Airbnb. Because at the end of the day, although you do put it on Airbnb, guys, the minute you say Airbnb, nobody knows any better. You start scaring people away. So I avoid that. And at that, guys, a lot of my weren't coming from Airbnb. Obviously, the more exposure, the better you get. It was on Airbnb, but I set it for a minimum of 30 days. There's a lot of people that are not going to get on Airbnb and be like, hey, I'm looking for a place to stay for 30 days. It's just not really that common. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I did get some requests through Airbnb. But yeah, John, um, question.
Love it, man. That's good. I mean, again, guys, taking actions, just find properties, call calling. So same situation, right? Same thing that we did in
Same thing.
multifamily. Start calling brokers, start build a relationship with them, right? So you just need to get a yes, right? You just need to just get one yes, take action, go in and furnish these properties, right? But okay, Sergio. So you said earlier that okay, you find a property that's good, the owner say yes, right? So what's the next step, man? Because that's not all, right? As soon as the owner say yes, so what is the next step after that?
That's a very great answer. The next step is after you do sign a contract, at least with the owner, guys. It's time is of an essence. You want to start mobilizing that property day one. whether you do it yourself or you hire an interior designer. In this case, me and Jonathan, my first one I did myself. Look at that property, you could tell a guy did it. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't the best furniture. It was very man cave vibe is what I got told. But the rest is when we actually hired basically hired other individuals, other interior designers, and they came in. They added a spice, woman's touch, and those properties were phenomenal. I mean, we were able to get them booked ASAP, right? But that would be your first step is hurry up and mobilizing the property. You got to mobilize, you got to get furniture in, you got to take your pictures, and you got to get them on all the platforms possible. The top three platforms are Airbnb, VRBO, and then the corporate one is the Furnish Finder. Those are the
Love it.
top three where you're gonna find a lot of your clientele. But that's the first step, John, is getting in there, mobilizing, getting them on the platforms ASAP.
Yeah, no, and I'm gonna share a quick story. And this is a funny story. I remember when Sergio got his first property, right, with his brother. I was calling Sergio, right, because we need to do some underwriting. We were talking about some deals, some multifamily, right? I mean, right at the beginning, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, right? And then I saw him like he took a picture and he was like he was assembling one of the bank beds or something. I said, man, what are you doing? I said, no, I just went to buy the furniture and I just assemble it myself. And I was like, man, come on, that's how long is gonna be taking you to do that, right? And he spent like how long you spent doing that, man? Like 1 or 2 days, man. I don't remember.
It was a crazy amount of time that I took. But there's a lot of people yourself, guys. You save a couple grand doing it yourself, and then here's another tip I'm going to tell you: finding some good furniture on the Facebook Market. I know operators all over the U.S. Most successful ones that I know. She's out in California. She Facebook markets everything, and finds some really good deals. And because she does it, and because she has her husband, who she retired doing this model, um, they're able to furnish a house in literally 2 days. They came down. They structured the system where it was just phenomenal, right? They did it themselves. They mobilized the house in 1 to 2 days. She knew her style. She knew the type of furniture she wanted. And she just repeated that model over 15 properties. And because after she got those 15 properties, she was able to retire her husband. So, yeah, it could be a very great industry.
Yep. That's why I got curious and I reached out to you, man. I say, hey, I want to be your partner on this one, right? So let's go and get more properties together now this time. And it should be a better way to. I don't want to just see in there Sergio assembling beds. I don't want to go to go and assemble beds, furniture, and stuff like that. That's when we brought the professionals, the interior designers, right? So that's a way that you can improve your business, right? So okay, short-term rentals, Airbnb, VRBO, all those things, right? Let's get a little deeper in actually the mid-term rentals, right? That's where the part that I didn't understand, right? So you say something about corporate housing, right? But there is another cool strategy that a lot of people are killing it that we are adding into this. That is actually the senior housing living. That is actually really popular,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly, so those are things that we are diversifying inside the same portfolio that we have, right? So can you explain a little bit about what we're planning to do in Sergio?
Yeah. So basically, guys, I'm gonna break down the three types of there's a lot of there's a certain type of individual that you're targeting as far as your clientele. So the short-term rental industry, you have some type of beach house, you have an Airbnb where it's in a phenomenal location. There's stadiums around. There's, they're very central areas where people, a lot of entertainment, right? They come in for a football game. They come in for a baseball game. They come in because there's concerts. They come in for whatever reason, but they're not going to stay that long. You're targeting those type of tourists, right? The midterm industry that we were doing, which was a corporate housing that we're doing, is a lot. Those are all insurance claims. Those are all individuals to where these properties, they don't gotta be in fancy spots. They don't have to be by the entertainment district. Simply the people that we are dealing with in the midterm rental industry is the insurance claims is average people who are going through an insurance claim, who are going through a flood, who maybe we had a tenant where somebody crashed into their house and it took them 4 or 5 months to rebuild their house, so they had to stay somewhere temporarily. In my opinion, I loved working with those people because those people trying to find a home outside their home, and that's our model. We are your home outside your home. So when we're able to provide them the housing that we were, due to the circumstances that they are in, because they don't want to stay in a hotel for four months. That's where we come in and provide the housing that we do. Great locations, quiet neighborhoods. They're right off the highway, somewhere very centric, somewhere in their backyard. Most of these people wanted to be easily accessible to their house that was getting repaired. That's what they look for, right? So those were the clientele that we were looking for. A lot of insurance claims, people that were going through floods, fires, whatever it is that they were, due to an insurance claim, right? And then now we have the senior housing. That's something huge. That's something very, very big that we're dabbled into, that we got a few partners that are in. Uh, that is the same thing as the short-term midterm rental. It benefits you when you own the house, but that does not mean to get in the game that you need to own the house. You can still sublease, you can still arbitrage, right? And those are for people. That market, that industry is a whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. You're dealing with renting a per room. 4 rooms, not even that, guys. You can have 3 rooms, but the more beds that you can put in a room, the more money you can make, depending if you're licensed and unlicensed. That means if I have a 3-bedroom house and I can put 2, 4, 6 beds in there, I can almost charge what, John, $2,000 to $4,000 a bed. You got 6 beds, you got $4,000. You're insured. You're making over 20,000 property. Okay, so very, very different strategies. They're all phenomenal. They all got their pros. They all got their cons. But that's what we're working with right now. We're very much trying to diversify. We're trying to pivot to today's market. Right now, we do them all. We do them all because, something's not working, you pivot, right? Maybe the short term's a little slow. Well, guess what? We're pushing the midterm rentals. We're reaching out to the clientele, the 50 plus connections that we have in the midterm rental industry. And we're saying, hey, reminder, we do have these houses available. Don't forget about us. Sergio, thank you so much. I'm going to share it with 30 other my colleagues, right? So we're always pivoting on something when it's not working. Maybe it's a slow season. Maybe January, February was slow for short-term rentals. Guess what? We're reaching out to all our midterm rental clients. Guess what? It's a little slow in the summer. We're reaching out to our senior living clients or connections. So those are 3 different type of strategies that there is in the housing or in the midterm rental, short-term rental, and long-term rental industry. Now, the senior housing is considered long-term, guys, because these are contracts that you can lock up for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. 5 years of knowing, oh, you know what, this is my property. I'm about to start cash flowing $15,000, $20,000 a month on this property because I'm doing senior living at this property. The more beds, the more money you make in that industry. What's up, Yoshi?
Hey, Serge. So Irma has a question. She said, do you have a simple underwriting system to estimate what rent should be, interior setup, and etc.?
Yes, I do actually. I do have a spreadsheet of what you can use, what the essentials are for an Airbnb, a typical midterm rental. What do you need? Okay, make sure you have this, make sure you have that. Yeah, I do have a list of that. Another thing, what I do, it's very simple. To check what market rents are. Because remember, You're either going to have market rents or a month or a mortgage. If you own the house, you're going to have a mortgage. You're going to know, okay, I got to pay $2,000. Anything above $2,000, you're making money. And at the end of the day, it don't matter if you make $2,500. What are you happy about? You're covering your mortgage at the end of the day, right? As a subleaser, as an arbitrager, anything over $2,000, I don't got to worry about having a mortgage. I don't have to worry about any of that. So on the property that you're arbitraging, let's just use that example right now. You want to know what that market rent is. Here in Dallas, Texas, start to get a little, you start hitting 3,000. I don't nervous. Get a little nervous. But our sweet spot is anywhere from $2,000 $600 range. I know that I'm in the market right there. Anything more than that, I start to be like, well, how good is the area? Is it really that good? Is it worth pursuing paying a $3,000 rent? I start to dig a little deeper on that. So Irma, I hope I answered your question. And if I didn't, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question.
Love it, love it.
Yeah, no, my question is, I hear that all the time here and stuff about the senior living. So you're talking about just senior living or assisted living? 'Cause there's a difference.
Basically, there is a difference. Kind of the same thing, because at the end of the day, Irma, the individuals that are living in our properties, they're being assisted. There is a nurse that's taking care of them. It just depends if you're licensed or unlicensed. The property's licensed or unlicensed. It depends. It just depends. But to your point, it is the senior housing. There's different ways to call it. They call them different things. Just kind of like corporate housing, midterm rental. I mean, it's kind of the same ballpark. But yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah. So somebody's there that cooks for them and stuff like that. Yeah.
Correct. Checks up on them. It just depends, because maybe some patients don't, not even patients, some tenants don't need assisted living. Some are literally getting funded by the government. The government's funding it. So they can live on their own. It's just like, hey, I'm good. I'm just, I'm living here, and I have roommates, and that's it. They don't need assistance. Others do need assistance, right? So it just really depends.
Okay, thanks.
That was a good question, Irma. I mean,
Really great question.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole purpose of today's conversation, guys, because again, you're a homeowner, right? So that's something that maybe you can apply, you can test it out, right? That works or not, right? So, but just next question, Sergio. Do you think location is important in this industry?
Yes and no. For instance, going back to short-term rental, midterm rental, long-term, right? In the short-term rental industry, location is everything, because you want to be close to attractions. You want to be close to, where the concerts are, entertainment districts. In the midterm rental industry, where it's corporate housing, you want a decent looking house. You want to be in that honey hole where maybe entertainment, but you are centric to where highways are, where jobs are. So in a sense, yes, John, location does matter. In the assisted living / senior living, location does matter. The city does matter. There is certain cities that are oversaturated. There's other cities that don't have enough housing. And this is a market where it's very, very, very needed. The demand is very, very high in these properties. For instance, there's certain cities, sub-cities in Dallas-Fort Worth, where maybe you say, if you're from the DFW, if you say Prosper, McKinney, Frisco, oversaturated areas. But you're talking North Richland Hills, you're talking Glen Heights. Those areas need more housing for assisted living. You know what I'm saying? So that would be a honey hole, guys, to go look for. So in a sense, John, yeah, it does matter. Location does matter. So you kind of want to be in the middle. You want to be okay with Grand Prairie, Arlington, great area, because not only are you centric to main highways and roads, where people can get to downtown Dallas, downtown Fort Worth, but you're also so close to the entertainment district where there's a lot going on in the Metroplex in Grand Prairie. So that Grand Prairie, Arlington would be a very, very great area to do a short-term rental, a midterm rental, and all the above. You kind of start checking all the boxes. So in a sense, John, yeah, location does matter.
Love it, love it. I see Alicia. Hey, Alicia, welcome to the call.
Right. So I was wondering, about administration, like how do you handle it all? And I was wondering about transportation.
Great, great question. So there's two ways you can go about it. And John, you can add to this. Are you talking for more the assisted living side, correct?
Yes,
So
yes.
there's two routes you can take. Like us, where we're more of the passive side of things, where me and John have the properties, me and John have the beds, we have the property, we have the okay, like go do what you got to do, which is more on the passive side, which is that's what me and Jonathan are doing. We just want to collect money. Or you can start dabbling into actually being the official operator and being licensed and being the one that's actually in the boots on the ground. You start finding out, hiring nurses, because you're not going to be the nurse. You're going to be the operator. The operator, you're going to hire the staff, right? Doesn't mean you have to go out there and get certified, be a certified nurse, but you will have staff to help you. That's when you start kind of dabbling deeper into that game and into that industry of, knowing a lot more, getting even more educated on that side of things, which ain't a problem. A lot of people might want to do that route. Other people might be like me and John. Hey, we have the properties, y'all. We know operators. You guys use our properties. Give us a piece of the pie. Give us a piece of that big pie that you're getting, and we're happy. At the end of the day, the name of the game is cash flow, right? We want to make some money passively without getting our hands dirty, so that we can go live our lives, right? So, Alicia, I hope I answered your question. Where you can go either way. If you want to be a true operator and you want to worry about the transportation and working with the staff, you're more than welcome to do that. You got to start becoming an operator. You got to get more educated in the game, and you kind of just go from there. Awesome. Great question, by the way. Great question.
Great question, a great answer. And yeah, guys, I mean, this is a business that you can be either active or you can be passive, right? So you're gonna be active, you need to go and build a relationship with these corporate places that they send you people, right? Or you hire somebody that is an expert in that field, right? That's somebody that maybe have a high ranking and a lot of experience in Airbnb, right? And they know more people more relationships in corporate housing, right? Or right now, you just partner with operators, people that are already doing it. And guess what, guys? These guys, the operators, they're looking for properties like crazy. They have been calling us, hey, man, do you have another one? So we're working pretty well. I like to work with you guys, right? And everything. So these operators, they have a lot of seniors, but there is a shortage. I can say kind of like confidently that is a shortage, and this is coming, guys, because more seniors and seniors are coming, and these places, the big buildings that they focus on doing that, they're expensive for them, right? Sometimes they just have these social security check, and they're just looking for something affordable, right? They're looking for something affordable, and this is way more affordable than going in the route of with these big companies and big that are doing this business.
Correct. Great point, John. And great answer. I mean, this is an industry that just, like I said, once again, it's just, there's not enough housing. There's not enough housing in this industry. And in our reality, me and Jonathan, that's the direction we're going to pivot, because there's a lot of rules and like, remember, we're talking dirty, ugly truth, right? There is a lot of rules and regulations going around the U.S., right? Some people are banning Airbnbs. Other cities, they don't allow them. Other cities, there's a lot of restrictions. Other cities, wherever you're from, you got to pay a lot of taxes. You got to pay, it's ridiculous. They're trying to crack down on a lot of this industry. But like in real estate, in just life in general, you got to pivot. Okay, you know what? That's fine. We're going to make it work. Let's pivot this way. Let's pivot this way. And as long as you're able to pivot, guys, and you're connected to these type of operators, these opportunities, that's all that matters. I know a lot of people that close their midterm rental, they close their properties down because they're struggling, because that's all they want to do. But when you don't pivot to the industry, to the market, happens. But us, me and John, were like, you know what? No, we gotta make a way. There ain't no, we're in this game already. We already have the furniture, we have the housing. What else can we do? Assisted living. So phenomenal. Alicia, you have another question?
Yes. Right. So I have a question. I think it's around the senior living, more like in having more than one person, like all of these people living together. So my thing is thinking about the size of the room, and then like privacy, and then how many refrigerators, that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. And it's just you gotta remember, a lot of these people, they don't mind having the company, right? A lot of these people are well aware that they're sharing rooms with another person. They don't mind it. They prefer to do be in this type of setting. They prefer to be in this type of environment, than to be in an actual facility. Let's put it that way. So they enjoy having that home. They enjoy having a kitchen to walk into, a living room, a backyard, and basically, there is some regulations, right? You got to qualify. The house has got to qualify. It's got to be ADA compliant. Certain doors got to be certain widths. Tubs got to be so low for our people, right? So, to your point, I mean, all those things are by the operator. They know these rules, they know these regulations, they know these standards that these properties got to meet in order for it to be licensed. Now, it being non-licensed doesn't necessarily mean that it's a deal breaker. Just because you're not able to license the property just means that, okay, that's fine. You may not be able to get the toppest dollar of that $25,000 a month, but you still may be able to get that 15 to 10. And you might limit yourself to certain individuals. So it all just depends on the type of property. To your point, the size of the rooms. If it's a larger square foot house, then you can put more beds comfortably, then it works. But if you have a 3x2 bedroom and then it's 1,200 square foot, and you can only put 2 bedrooms and 2 full sizes in the room, I mean, it gets a little sketchy there, right? At the end of the day, you also want to make sure the tenants are comfortable. This is their home. So not sure if I answered your question on the ADA compliant, the regulations, the privacy, right? At the end of the day, they do want the company. They want to feel like they are at home. They prefer this over being in a facility 9 times out of 10.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Love it.
All right. Well, thank you. I do appreciate it.
Not
Yeah,
a
guys,
problem.
this is powerful. I mean, this is what we do. That's why we like to share what we're doing, right? Because again, right, it's something that we're working on, and then let's share it with everybody, right? Because maybe we spark some of you, right? Maybe you wanna do it. Maybe you get curious, right? Maybe you're gonna start reaching out. Hey, John, so can you tell me more about it, right? So let me know how that works. I'm interested, right? So you guys always feel free to reach out if you have any questions about any of the strategies that we do, right? To see you are able to do it, to see you want to learn a little bit about it, right? So it's not that we have a coaching about it, right? But we're more than happy to share exactly how is that we're running our businesses, right? And probably a lot of you are wondering, okay, are you multifamily? Are you fix and flips? I mean, at the end of the day, this is something that we're using to diversify our portfolio, and then we're almost 0 hours in this business because we already have people hired on this that, they're getting paid through the income that we're generating on this. So we are just collecting the checks, right? If that makes sense.
We're probably 99.9% off. The only percent, that 1% is me having the communication between us and our property manager. And that's it. But other than that, guys, we are hands off. And that's the goal here. The goal, if you're in this room, freedom back. Trying to find a way to cash flow more money, a strategy to cash flow more money, because you do not want to work no more. You're like, you know what? It's about that time that I start making some passive income, right? We are 99.9 and a half. If there's a 99.9.9, we're hands off. The only 1%, that 0.1, is just the communication that we have to have with our operator. But as far as me up there cleaning units, I'm not cleaning no units. I'm not stocking no units. I'm not communicating with no complaints, no problems. We don't touch any of that. So we're pretty hands off, and that's what you want to do, guys, is be in an industry where you're hands off. And I got to see the ugly side of it. I got to see where I'm boots in the ground. I'm messaging people. That's when I noticed that, you know what, the hospitality game, maybe take this phone away from me and these messages, because I'm not your guy to be messaging back and forth. I'm so dry. I don't have a personality. I have a personality face to face, but as far as on text message and all that, yeah, messaging and hosting, we'll leave that to the professionals, because that's not me.
Exactly. No, man, I love it. I love it. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys have questions or anything about this, but again, right? We're just here just to share exactly how we're doing it. But Sergio, any challenges, man? Any challenges in this industry? So you shared something at the beginning about, having the money, right? So you need to have some money up front, right, in order to start this business, because it's not
Correct.
just about finding the property, right? So what challenges can somebody overcome and implementing this
I
system?
think the beautiful thing about this is that Daniel Fulman. Oh God, you're cracking me up. I think one of the challenges that I had, guys, at first was really trying to figure it out. I mean, just like any other mastermind, you get the tools and they give you the tools and you're like, hey, here it is. At the end of the day, you start to learn by yourself, the trial and errors, realizing that, it's tough, right? So at the beginning, that's what I struggled with. I went through a few property managers. I finally found the one who is extremely good. I trust him. He's very, very good. He's proven himself over these last couple months, and he's just killing it. So that's something else. I've wanted to be very passive, right, John? So trying to find that one person that I can trust to run my properties, our properties, John. Now, very, very, very hard. So now that we found them, I mean, it's made it a lot easier, right? You can be true hands off from the business. That was probably the first thing that was hard. Second thing, that at first, my lack of education, I thought that I had to buy a house to do this, and I don't. If you want to get started in this game, you do not have to go out there and buy a $20,000 house or invest 20,000, close on a house, then put in another couple thousand in furniture, and all of a sudden you're in the whole 40,000. You can do that just by a third and start cash flowing day one. The pro about that, guys, is that if it isn't working out, what do? You just move it out. You move out. You get your furniture and you move out and you go find another place. That's the pro about renting out another arbitraging. If it's not working out, you get your furniture and you leave and you go put it in another house that will work. So yeah, John.
Yeah, I got a question. Tammy, here we go. I got first Tammy, and then we have some questions in the chat. Josh, you want to help me out with us?
Tammy?
Hey, babe, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Tammy, we cannot hear you.
Wait, let me see if I can switch it.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So the beauty of renting, so like when you own a house, you're responsible for the water heater, you're responsible for the plumbing, you're responsible if the garbage disposal stops working, you're responsible for all the ins and outs. If you rent, if you arbitrage with a unit of property, that's the beauty of having their maintenance. You sign a lease like you do a residential, like a normal lease. You have a work order, guess what? They're responsible for the water tank. They're responsible for the garbage disposal. They're responsible somewhat for the clogged toilet. They're the ones that are handling those little mini minor expenses that add up after a while. Just make sure when you're reading that lease, what you're responsible for as a normal resident, as a normal tenant on that lease. You might be responsible for the smoke detectors. You might be responsible for the air filters. But those are things that are minor when you're looking at that. And when you have a lot of traffic coming in and out of those units, there's wear and tear. It's just part of it. It's not a normal, like when you live in a house, it's just 4 people or 6 people, living in that house. It's not when you're Airbnb and you're active, you're super active, you could have anywhere from 8 people every weekend. You could have 3 people one day for 2 days, and then you're gonna have another 4 people. Those people are gonna treat those properties different. So there's big benefits using if you go to an apartment complex or renting a house that will allow you to help with the income. But that's just something that I have a little bit of experience.
Correct. I actually, that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite things about arbitrage method is that I mean, things happen, right? Tammy nailed it. Things happen. There's wear and tear. There's wear and tear on furniture. Maybe something happens. Something's leaking. Maybe the toilet's not working. Guess what I do? Oh, okay, it's not working. I pick up the phone. I call the landlord, or I call the property manager, aka Tammy. Tammy is actually one of my quote unquote landlords because she's property managing one of the units that me and Jonathan have at AT&T Stadium. Phenomenal location, and we'll talk numbers in a minute, but phenomenal. So yeah, in essence, that's the pro of having the arbitrage method there. Any fixes, any maintenance, anything, you pick up the phone, you call that landlord, you have your property manager call the landlord, hey, this ain't working, that ain't working, and they're the ones scrambling, scared, and oh my God, I got to fix it at 2, 3 in the morning, right? So, yes, Tammy, thank you for bringing that up.
And you want to work with properties that understand what you're doing. I understand what Sergio and Jonathan are doing. I understand if I don't respond to those maintenance issues, whatever the case may be, that they're going to lose out on money. It's going to be their reviews. It's very important for me as a property manager, I'm going to say that I understand what their business plan is and how that's going to work for them. So, yeah, it depends. There's a question in the chat about how long. It depends on your property. Sergio and Jonathan know that we have 2 properties, 63 units that we arbitrage. And I offer anywhere from 6 to a year lease on those. It just depends on what's going on. And I will strongly advise this. Do not try to sneak in your STR. If they do not arbitrage, those could be penalties and fines. Those could be things that you don't want to end up with. Like, it's just not worth it in the end. Because what's going to happen is they're going to give you a notice to vacate for violation of your lease, and you're going to have to be out within 24 to 48 hours. So I just there's plenty of people. There's plenty of areas. There's plenty of, like, they're getting, like, strategic on it, but there's areas, just go look for it.
I think you nailed it, and that's coming from a property manager side of things. What you don't want to do is telling the owner, and I think Tony asked this question, is being straight up, because at the end of the day, he did not ask the question. Let me see. Do you guys hold on? We'll go through those questions in a minute. I'm going to confuse myself, but I want to kind of feed off of what Tammy's saying. At the end of the day, the way I called on all these landlords, right? Tammy was well aware because her property is in an entertainment district. They welcome it because they charge a really pretty decent amount for
Yeah.
the units, you know, and for allowing operators to come in and run a business. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing the single family houses, it's a different story. I'm quickly sitting to say, hey, listen, I have a legit business. This is my name. We're Cody Ho's Investments. We deal with a lot of insurance claims, responsible tenants. Remember, they are responsible tenants that are going through tough times and they need temporary housing. Are you interested in letting us and allowing us to use your home to house these individuals? They're gonna be like, yeah, of course. I'm helping people, of course. They want my house. Once they start kind of giving you a little bit of pushback, it's like, whoa. First of all, let me check your house out. I don't even know if it qualifies. From what it looks like outside, it looks like it does, but I need to walk your house and see if it even qualifies. Most of the time they do, but I always just they kind of ruffle me a little bit, but I always try to stand my ground too and be like, well, I don't even know if your house even qualifies. That's if it qualifies. Because they might be charging $1,900, but if I know that the area is good, I know that the market's good, I know that I'm going to be able to lease it on a monthly rate of $500 to $5,500. I'm gonna be like, well, what if I give you $2,100? I'll take care of your house.
Now
So-
that you're talking numbers, we have a question in the chat that says, how much money do you guys lose out on whenever you guys are that hands off?
That's a very great question. When you lock somebody in with corporate housing, I have a 6-month contract. I ain't got to do nothing. That's a 4 to 6 month contract where $5,500 a month or $5,200 a month contract stating that they're going to stay from this day to that day. I'm good. Happy. Me and John are like, man, let's go get it. At the time we were drinking, like, bro, you see this check that we just got? Look, let's go get a freaking whiskey. Because we're about to get paid out for months, $1,000 over the course of that. So we're happy. Not only that, they got pets, $100 fees up front, non-refundable. Another thing, these insurance companies end up fronting you 2 months sometimes. They give you a deposit and 2 months. So there's times where they even gave us a $15,000 check. Here you go. And whenever you lock in those type of contracts, you got to ask the question. When you lock in those type of contracts, you are hands off. The only thing they're calling you for, because that's another thing. You don't got to sit here and do maintenance. You don't sit here and bring them paper towels. You don't got to sit here and bring them shampoo. It's a one-time stock. Get them ready, and that's it. They're on their own. So I'm usually nice. I throw in about 4 or 5 shampoos, conditioners, body wash. Throw them a freaking big roll of toilet paper. 5, 6 months here. And welcome, right? So I'll hook them up because I already know we're going to cash out. That's the least I can do is welcome them in with open arms and take care of them a little bit, right?
Now, where are you finding the senior tenants from?
Really, really good question. That is where Alicia asked earlier. You're either going the active side or you're going the passive side. John are on the active side. So guess what? We ain't got time to go learn the game. We don't want to do that. We just want the money. So we partner up with an operator who knows, who's certified, fast, can handle that.
Yeah. And guess what, guys? Because of that partnership, these guys are reaching out. Hey, do you have more? You guys have more opportunities like that? You have more houses? We have a lot of people looking in this area. Like that. That's how it is, guys. You know, that's the power of building relationships, right? Creating a win-win situation because these operators, they have the connections, right? We have the houses and we want to diversify our portfolio, different strategies, right? So now guess what? We have a good relationship with them and they are looking for more, right? So yeah, because there is a really a need about this, right? Hey, Joshi, go ahead.
Jacinto asked a really good question. He said, how many landlords did you guys have to talk to before you found out your first house?
I went through a lot. what happened after I locked in. It's just kind of like, it's like real estate. Once you
First is
get
the
that
hardest.
first one, it just
First is the hardest.
easy. The first one's the hardest. But once landlord that allowed me to use that property, once we locked him in, the landlord don't have one property. They got multiple.
Mhm.
So when you lock in that first one, they say, knock, 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 Sergio, got another one for you. You want it? I like the way you pay me every month. You don't complain. You don't bother me. You're paying every first. I got 2 more of these houses. You want them? Let me take a look at them. So by the time you know it, you can be scaling from freaking 1 property to like freaking 4 in the span of 2 to 3 months. And all of a sudden you got this big operation going.
Mhm.
So yeah, but to get there, I mean, you got to make a couple calls. We don't have that issue anymore. We are finding them left and right, John?
Mhm.
It's just deciding which ones do we want to pursue and implement this on, or are we going to keep it? Keep this out? Yeah, sure. All right, John, let's do it. You know what? Let's just live it. Let's just sell it. You know what? We're good in the meantime. We'll wait. So we have options.
I asked a really good question, Serge. She said, obviously, we have a lot of beginners in the room. She said, how does a beginner get started when it comes to arbitrage or what you guys are doing?
Reach out to us. Reach out to us. I will say this: be careful with those masterminds. Would I go back and do it again? No. I'm talking about buying. Okay, guys. Once again, I learned all this through I was rubbing elbows with the successful people that have 15 of these arbitrages that are very successful. So yeah, be careful with the masterminds, but Chessa, this is if you really want to have that conversation, you can reach out to me or Jonathan, and we can talk about it. We can talk about it more offline, and we can guide you the right direction.
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah, and you guys stay until the end. We're gonna share numbers, right? Because it's not about.
Yeah, don't leave yet.
Don't leave yet. It's not about this and that. You know, we're gonna start
right now. We're
recording.
speculating.
We'll show exactly how much is just coming from the short-term side, right? And we're not even showing the mid-term side and the long-term side, right? So yeah, Joshi, do you have any other questions, Joshi? I see your hand still.
No, sorry.
Cool. Okay, we're getting top of the hour, Sergio. So I'll let you close the call, man. So do you have any? Can you share with us one piece of advice for everybody that would like to get into the rental industry, especially this arbitrage model?
Yeah, it could be very, very rewarding. I wouldn't. Don't do it alone. Do not do it alone. Just it could be very disasterful if you try to do it alone. If you say, if you get off this call, hey, you know what, that inspired me. Let me look deeper into it. You start just trying to YouTube it and do it on YouTube University, and don't do that. Find an operator that knows what they're doing. The operator, how they're doing it. From there, I was around a lot of great people, and I think this is why I succeeded, because I know a lot of great people in this industry, and all of them, short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, senior living. Like, just don't do it alone, guys. If this is something that you really want to do, reach out to us. We're plugged in. This is what we do. We're connected. We're very well connected. And I think I succeeded because I had resources to call when I was in trouble. When one thing didn't work, I pivoted. Remember, if it's slow season on the short-term side, pivot. Start kind of picking up. Okay, cool. You know what? Housing or assisted living context comes in and says, hey, is that property available? Can we do it? Yeah. Boom. Put a pause of short-term rental, make more money on the assisted living. I did that many times. Right, John? We were doing good short-term. Guess what? We just got a call because somebody wants to book for 3 months at $5,000 a month. Boom. Cut the calendar. Pivot. So any advice that I have for you in this game, guys, and the different models that there is when you're doing these arbitrages, don't stick to one. Now, if you're at a complex, like Tammy's got a very, very legit complex, that one's going to stay a short-term rental. It does good as a short-term. There's no need for me to go reinvent the wheel, right, John? We don't need to do that. We don't need to sit there and try to make it a midterm rental when we're booming on numbers, which we're about to show you in a minute. We're booming on numbers look good. Why am I going to go sit there and convert something that's exceeding the occupancy is very high into a midterm rental? Don't make sense. Don't change it. But when you're not succeeding in one thing, pivot to the other. So that's what I recommend.
Love it, love it, love it. All right. So thank you everybody for being with us tonight. So stay there for a little bit. We're just gonna stop the recording, right?